So I'm going to be sharing my screen tonight, and hopefully everybody can see it. All good?
And yeah,
Great.
looks
All
good.
right. So we shall get started. But what we thought we would do tonight is share with you our foolishness.
Welcome to our
um,
lives.
if if any of you have seen us in contest at any point, there's a strong possibility you heard us sing the song "What Kind of Fool Am I?" And we thought that this was a very good song to show you the development of craft for the quartet, because we sang it for a long time. So that's why we thought this would be a good presentation for Craft Week. So 7 years of foolishness with Lustre. And what we hope to do is just in this class tell you how we evolved our ability to sing barbershop, and um, and show you those improvements along the way. So showing lots of clips back to back, so you can, I think this relates a little bit to something that you were saying earlier, that you were starting to understand things about the categories and now listening and cluing in. So hopefully this is going to ride that new understanding as well. So just so you know, a little bit of backstory about What Kind of Fool Am I for us. We formed in 2005. We picked this song up in 2010. And since then, we've sung it 8 different times. We sang it at 2011 regional and 2011 international in Houston. And then back to regional we went and sang it in 2012 at regional, and then in Denver at international when we wildcarded into international. And then in Honolulu, in Las Vegas, once, not twice, but 3 times.
Oh,
So we've had some experience with this song. And when we picked it up, evidently we loved it. We thought it was special. We didn't understand quite how special. And we didn't quite understand what a skill stretcher it was. But evidently it was a big skill stretcher. We just loved the song, and we were stubborn. So I thought we would talk just for a moment about why we call this, or why I think we call this, a craft. And so I looked up the definition of craft, and it said an occupation or trade requiring manual dexterity or artistic skill. Well, we don't need manual dexterity. So I took this and I decided that barbershop craft was an a cappella musical ensemble pursuit requiring vocal dexterity, artistic and storytelling skill, but then layer on that the teamwork that we require. We can't do this alone. So, like physicians practice medicine, I feel like we practice barbershop. We grow and learn forever in this art form. And we grow and learn as a team. We grow and learn in our chorus teams and in our quartet teams, and continue to grow in this craft. So I think calling it a craft is pretty accurate. And then if we talk a little bit about the fact that the barbershop craft, and we have our judging categories are constructed to give us feedback on aspects of the craft. So if you say it's a craft and you just look at it as a, how do I approach it? How do I grow in it? If it's a long-term pursuit, how do I get better? Well, you look at the categories and the different things in each of the categories and develop those, then your craft will improve over time. So deconstructing the work into those categories and looking at and attacking small parts of the craft make you better at the craft in general. And one of the things we learned a little bit later in our experience was to focus, and as we focused on those parts of the craft, we celebrate our achievements. We make sure that we recognize when we I won't use the word master, but when we improve areas of the craft and make sure that we, as we climb the mountain is never ending. So you have to stop at different plateaus along the way, look at where you've been and celebrate where you've gotten to before you plan the next thing. This was one thing that I usually begged for from the quartet, because we would come back to the room after achieving something. Like, very distinctly, I remember we had just gotten a 5th place medal in Honolulu, and we were in the room an hour, and they were talking about what music we were going to sing next and who was going to coach us next. I'm like, I just want to celebrate. Stop planning. I want to celebrate. So they celebrate too, but they like to plan what's next. So really quickly, we're going to just talk a little bit about the categories. I know just about everybody's pretty darn familiar with these, but we'll just take it really quick. Music, the music category, talking about the arrangement, its form, tempo, rhythm, phrasing, those things. And expression, we do rubato treatment of our ballads and how we do those phrases, and the word art that we do in all of our music is really unique to our craft. I don't know where else you go. You treat ballads the way we treat ballads. I was floored the first rehearsal I went to, because I read music and I know what 4 beats in a measure look like, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? So showmanship, very unique, I feel like, to our craft, because I've been to many a vocal concert where I wasn't entirely sure that the singer knew what they were saying or enjoyed it. So, and then sound, the tuning, the accuracy, the blend, those parts of the craft. So if you break these things down and look at them individually and attack them individually, then you'll grow overall in the craft. Now, over time, our improvement in the craft has taken quite a few different strategies, let's say. But our primary strategy was to look at our score sheets, talk about what was mentioned in them, that where they recognize, the judges recognize where we could improve, and talk about who in the organization could help us make those improvements. So pretty simply, getting the right coaching. But there are other strategies we'll talk about along the way. But I did a little coach recording inventory this week, and I've discovered that I had recordings between 2010 and 2017 of quartet coaching. I had 77 instances of coaching. That's an average of 11 times a year that we were filling our head up with knowledge from our coaches. But, and the other strategy, or if you've never thought about this, we get a lot of opportunities in our regional events to sing in a performance situation, and often at those events are judges. They aren't there to judge. They might be there to teach. They might be a part of your region. We very typically will ask any judges that happen to be in any audience that we are performing for, if they would listen as if they were a judge rather than as an audience member, because we're always looking for that kind of feedback to grow the craft. So we'll move on to how we did it and look at how these things improved.
So obviously our barbershop hobby activity that we do is a singing activity, and it's very important to sing well so that you can progress within the art form and be an ever more entertaining performer. And so as an ensemble, whether it's a quartet or a chorus, it's really important not only for individuals to sing well, but then for the ensemble to sing well together. And so we took a couple of different strategies to building our vocal skills. Um, of course, you know from the I guess it's on the sound score sheet. These are the elements of solid vocal skills here. We would work on all of these things primarily, I would say, in the context of our chorus experience. We all belong to the same primary chorus. Actually, well, it doesn't matter. We all belong to Harbor City Music Company show chorus, and we were all going to Wednesday night rehearsals every week for a very, very, very long time together. And so when that's going on, when you're a chapter quartet and you're getting the same vocal instruction, all four of us are hearing the same vocal instruction from the same source week in and week out. What you end up with is a style of your quartet ensemble that when you're in your own quartet rehearsal, then you can say, well, remember what we learned on Wednesday, let's try to apply that here, etc. So it's really nice when all four singers in a quartet have the same vocal instruction foundation. I don't know what it's like to sing in a quartet where you're not all in the same chapter. There are a lot of quartets where that is the case, but I don't know what that experience is like. But I imagine there is some discussion about, well, my director said to do that this way, and somebody else would say, well, my director says to do it that way. And so there has to be a little bit of meeting in the middle. When you're all a chapter quartet, you don't have to worry about that so much. Um, One of the things that Harbor City Music Company tries to do is every time you're singing or working on any song, the concept is it's all good singing. So if you can sing well on a repertoire song, a show song, then you can transfer those skills to your contest music as well. So every song is a contest song, and every song is a show song, and every song is a sing out song. And so if you just take all those same skills and apply it to every piece of music, then that's a really good strategy for increasing your skills over time. One thing I want to mention for sure is that another thing that we did over the years when we were working on What Kind of Fool Am I, but every other song that we do too, and that is the concept of unity. We have teamwork baked into the foundation of our quartet. We operate as a team. Nobody gets one say more than another person. We make all of our decisions as a team on a consensus basis, and we find that that translates into our performances as well, and into our rehearsal psyche, and into everything we do as a group, even down to agreeing to dress together or not together on a Zoom call on a Friday night in February. So this team effort really helps us in our unification of our ensemble, and that does translate into unity on the music as well and in the performance setting. So that's a really important part of our growth, and we did a lot of work on trust building in our quartet relationship, and that shines through there as well. And then I guess one of the last things that in terms of building our solid vocal skills, relying on that chorus focused instruction, working as a team together. And then every time we had a chance to sing a song, we would sing a song. So if all four of us were at rehearsal on Wednesday night, then after rehearsal's over on Wednesday night, we're the last ones out of the room because we're running through a couple of rep songs. We're working on the things we touched on at rehearsal the weekend before, and just taking every opportunity. If you're together, you're gonna sing a song, and you just know that. And actually, it was more the case of it's kind of the rule that if you're together, you're gonna sing before you go your separate ways, except if somebody had a reason to say not tonight. But the default was that we would. So, and we sang in front of our chorus as an audience, and many of you quartet singers know that that's the scariest audience you could ever sing for, is to go down on the floor and turn around and sing to the risers. Boy, that'll make you shake in your boots like nothing else. But we did that over and over and over again, and that really, really helped us develop those vocal skills in what we felt was a highest pressure situation ever. And
We
if you
did
can
that
do that,
often
you can
enough
do
that
anything.
we had push-out quartets offered to us on our contest pieces.
Yeah, that's right. Our chorus knew our contest musics. They could have pushed us out.
Girls nodding. I see it.
So I think we're gonna hear a little bit about our vocal skill development here. Lori's put together a montage of one phrase in particular of "What kind of fool am I?" and you'll hear it from our first international performance, and you'll hear that snippet over the years through until our last international performance on it. And what we're asking you to listen for in this example is how our vocal skills improved, how our sound became more free, and we didn't push and press in the end the way we did in the beginning. We didn't have an aggressive, angry sound in the end like we did in the beginning. Our sound gets more free and more relaxed over the course of the years on this same phrase. So this is an example. Why can't I fall in love like other people can? And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. Ooh. Why can't I fall in love like other people can? And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. Ooh. Why can't I fall in love like other people can? And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. Ooh. Why can't I fall in love like other people can? And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. Why can't I fall in love like other people can? And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. Somebody noted in the chat that we changed the pitch. Well, you know what? We were trying to think whether we blew a different pitch or whether we just flatted that year. We couldn't remember.
Or sharp.
We sharp. We
And
tend
we
to
sharp typically too, yeah.
Yeah.
The songs in B flat didn't always end in B flat. I don't know if we ever blew a B for this one though.
Well, and that's one of the evidence pieces of our vocal skill development in the early years. Some of us in the bass section, maybe, and maybe others, had a tendency to really press and really strain, and that just drove my sound sharp, 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 sharp. And you know, my teammates came north with me too, so that happened a lot. And I probably wasn't the only one who had that thing going on, but I sure did have it.
Occasionally, my high and light was overachieved.
Yeah.
High.
So hopefully on that example you heard how in the early days it was strained, it was full of tension, it wasn't relaxed at all. And then the last time we competed with it, it was much more ease in the sound and much more confident sound and much more kind of ownership of the message without letting the song get the best of us.
All right, so now we're going to dive into the categories. So I'm going to take each category one at a time, and we've actually divided this up based on which one of us would read the score sheets after every contest. So we kind of have the categories that speak to us most, and mine is music. So the music category is about the song and the performance of the song. So a simplified way of thinking about that is to say that the music category is what you would get if you took away the words. and just listen to the notes and the song itself. So it's divided into a section on specifically the song and the arrangement. Is it good barbershop? What's its form? How's the harmonization? Is this a good song for you? Might be a good song for somebody else, might not be so good for you. And then the other half is about performance. What are you doing with the song that you have chosen? How's your harmony accuracy? How is your tempo and your rhythm, your unity again, phrasing, dynamics, artistry? So all of that is based on the foundation that you have chosen with the song. So the question that we kind of asked ourselves sometimes is, if we had it to do over again, would we have chosen this song from the beginning? Because there are no points for degree of difficulty. You don't get bonus points because you chose something harder. I was watching the Olympics a while back and compared it to figure skating, and just, could you imagine if somebody said like, wow, that's a really challenging song. So, you know, even though they were out of tune on the tag, we'll still give them a high score. We don't want to be evaluated that way because we don't want to be in the audience for those kind of performances. So my advice to quartets and to groups starting out is choose something easy and ring the heck out of it. Because the more chords you ring, the more your audiences will enjoy your performance. If those audience include judges with pencils, the more they're going to enjoy that performance. The other advice with this would be, so there's the flip side of that, right? You don't always have to choose the easy things. Because if they're too easy, you'll get bored because you won't be developing your skills on it. So it's okay to choose a song that's a skill stretcher. Just recognize it for what it is, and plan accordingly and celebrate accordingly. There are many aspects of What Kind of Fool Am I that do not lend themselves to ringing chords. There are a couple of minor passages, there are a couple of triads. We'll hear one in the next clip here. So when early on, it didn't score as well because our skills were not up to the challenges that it presented. As we developed and grew with the song, we were able to score better. I think one of the gems that Lori found in her excavation of the coaching records was, it was Sharon Babb, wasn't it, Lori? Yeah. She's a legendary barbershopper and music specialist. And we coached with Sharon in 2012, right after we'd come back from Denver. And we sang Fool for her, and she looked at our sheets and she said, what other ballads do you have? Because that's not going to do you any good. And so we coached a different ballad with her that night, and apparently went home and changed our minds and sang it anyway. So,
stubborn.
Did we say?
Yeah. So she had a lot of points. So I think we're going to go to the next. Yeah, let's go to the next slide here real quick, because I want to show you how we tried to overcome some of these examples. And that was by doing what we called self-critiques. So we made basically little lyric sheets in our Google spreadsheets. And this example is actually from the intro of I'm Getting Married in the Morning, which is such a fun song to sing and really, really hard to score well with because it's really, really hard.
It's Get Me to the Church on Time, but yeah.
Oh, you know, title of song, sure, yeah. We haven't done the song in a while. But what we would do is we would make a rehearsal recording, take it home, listen to it, and then we'd all actually hide the other columns so we could only see our own and make little notes about what we thought needed improvement. And then we'd unhide them all and compare it and see where we agreed and see where some places somebody heard something that somebody else didn't. So like on this one, we have lots of, we call OOS, out of sync. That's most of it. And then a few people noting individual places in their vocal production that they would want to improve. So we have a lot of songs that we did this for, especially leading up to contests and performances.
Can I just insert here that this was before we had the rule of you had to do positive self-talk.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say is if I was to do this again, then I would actually require at least 20% of positive feedback on stuff, because you see the line 8, I'm getting married in the morning, nobody said anything. So let's say something good.
I figure, nothing is good compared to the critique, right? That's how I looked at it.
When that's how we all looked at it, but what we forget is that by not saying it, you don't hear it.
That's true.
So, so we'll come back to that theme going on here. But yes, find the things that you are doing well and acknowledge them. And we would do so. These are also good places for that. So we've got a bunch of places that we labeled as out of sync. Then maybe a month later, we'd record it again, and we can say, hey, that place we were out of sync, we fixed it. Yes, good for us. We've learned and we've made progress. All right, it's time for a clip demonstrating the music category. And we picked one of the places that has a challenging tuning section. So in the clip you're about to hear, there's the word cell, a lonely cell. And that cell is a major 7th chord. It's not a barbershop 7, it's a major 7. So it has dissonance in it that our barbershop ears don't necessarily expect to hear. It is legit chord. It's one of the 13 that you're allowed to use in arrangements, but it hardly ever shows up at all. And when it does, it's generally not very important. So as you listen to this clip, see how we treated that chord and the words around it, and how eventually we got to the point where we could embrace it and spotlight it and show it off as an interesting and challenging part in the song.
A lonely cell in which an empty heart must dwell. A lonely cell in which an empty heart must dwell. A lonely cell in which an empty heart must dwell. A lonely cell in which an empty heart must dwell. A lonely cell in which an empty heart must dwell. A lonely cell in which an empty heart must dwell. A lonely cell in which an empty heart must dwell. A lonely cell in which an empty heart must dwell.
Yes, that's probably choreography that stuck throughout the years. But definitely heard to the, we got to the point with Cell that we were comfortable taking a breath after it to show off what had just happened. I think we'll move on to the next category.
Okay, so I always read the expression sheets, so this is my area. But so in the expression category, we get to do this rubato treatment of phrases that I talked about earlier, and it gives you so much latitude in the storytelling. And word art is just a big part. I use that word a lot, and I think I got it from Michael Gallard, our Harbor City Music Company director. He's very focused on making sure that we get every part of every word. And when you do that, you kind of cover an awful lot of the things in the artistic interpretive plan. You infuse words with character. So handling that left-hand side of those technical elements of word delivery, vowels, diphthongs, consonants, enunciation, if you stop thinking about those and start thinking about what those words mean and how you'd say them to infuse them with all that meaning, that's kind of, where I come from in the expression category. Now, how did we improve? This was an interesting. Our biggest jump was from 20 our first international performance, where we came in 34th, to our second international showing, which we went back to regional. We came in second, wild carded into Denver, and then in Denver we came in seventh. So we surprised the heck out of ourselves, coming in the top 10. We won the contest by being called, and it was all, just gravy after that. But a lot of people ask, what did you do in 2012? What was the magic? And well, there isn't any magic, but we did build an awful lot of trust amongst each other that summer, where we would do what we called, I don't know if we had a name for it, but 3 would sing and 1 would watch. And this situation, where 1 would watch and coach, was trying to marry the 3 that were singing, marry and unify the character that was being portrayed, the characterization of the words that were being sung. It took care of a lot of out of sync problems when you gather those things up and you gather words and unify words. We also, I don't know how many of you have heard the word grunge work. We adopted grunge work for a while that summer and on, where there's a big other class that we could talk about grunge work. So I won't go into it here, but if you want more information on that, you just ask and we will send you all to the right places on that. But what that did was, again, gather up all those word pieces and get those all expressed as a unit. And then we did look for words that we wanted to infuse with meaning. And that summer we coached with a friend of ours, Rick Taylor, an awful lot. And I think he instilled an awful lot of confidence and helped us build our own personal confidence as well. That self-critique that Kate was talking about really helped us in the expression category. And then as we moved through our development, we started coaching with Carol Persinger, who was very skilled expression judge, and she was somebody that we would go to and work with to get everything we could out of our songs. And we learned a lot from her about what and why she does things. She proposes different changes, and we learned that we could apply that to some of our other songs in our reps. So I think we built skill from the things that she would do with our songs and could infuse that in other songs. So if we now go to an example here, I want this particular phrase from Fool has a bunch of words that you can listen for that over time, the words just got more meaning. The word lips, the word lied. When you say the word lied, that it has a very specific distaste that you should hear in the word. My favorite word is whisper in this. I don't think we knew what the word was in 2011 regional. You shouldn't sing whisper as whisper. You should sing it as whisper. So those onomatopoeias. But also I think though, the other thing that we learned over time is this song is filled with questions, and you should be able to hear question marks. So here's an example of a phrase that has an awful lot of expression that you can hear evolve over time.
What kind of lips are these that lie with every kiss? That whispered empty words of love that left me alone like this. What kind of lips are these that lied with every kiss? empty words of love that left me alone like this. What kind of lips are these that lie with every kiss? That whispered empty words of love that left me alone like this. What kind of lips are these that lied with every kiss? That whispered empty words of love that left me alone like this. What kind of lips are these that lied with every kiss? That whispered empty words of love that left me alone like this. What kind of lips are these that lied with every kiss? That whispered empty words of love that left me alone like this. What kind of lips are these that lied with every kiss? That whispered empty words of love that left me alone like this. Okay, looks like I'm up. Of course, showmanship is my category I always enjoyed talking about. You can see on the page there that showmanship is all about performance and preparation of the performance. I'm not going to read all those. You can see them. You've probably seen them on score sheets. And actually, I believe the category is being renamed soon to visual communication. And so with that in mind, it's all about the visualness of it. It's not about being a showman. Hey, look at us, we're on stage, kind of thing. It's everything you do visually. So we had to pay attention to things about, is our physicality matching? What is the message of the song, and are we matching that to the song as well as to each other? Are we in agreement amongst us what that message is and how to present that? Are we all telling the same story? Is it being told authentically, truthfully? Do we believe in the message of the song? Some of the techniques that we used to improve this is one of the ones Lori talked about in the expression category bit, the 3 sing, 1 watch, and coach. We also had one of our trusted coaches, Renee Porzel, a few times would say, she'd be with us and we'd be singing and she'd say, okay, Jenny, I like what you're doing there. So she would sing and all 4 of us would sing, but the 3 of us would watch Jenny or would watch me or would watch Lori, whatever the phrase was that she thought one of us was doing particularly well. And we would then try to emulate whatever it was that person was doing. Then we could do, one person sitting out while the other 3 try to match each other, kind of thing, to match that one person's idea. Renee gave us lots of different things to try throughout the years, as well as a bunch of our other coaches. Another technique we used a lot was to record ourselves doing, it could be the full performance run, it could be just a phrase of a song, a certain section of the song, whatever it was. But then at that rehearsal, we would play it back and watch it without any sound on. Did we know where we were in the song? If we just were to walk up to it, would we know where we were in the song? Was the message coming across visually with our faces, with our bodies? We could zone in on or hone in on our faces or do a full body run. With our coaching throughout the years, we did get lots of different feedback. Hey, you need more physicality. And you probably saw a lot of that through the songs, through all these clips we've done. Okay, wait, guys, now you need a little less physicality. And you'll see some of these things as we play our next clip. In fact, there's not going to be any sound with this next clip. So maybe we'll just go ahead and watch it and I'll talk over some of this, if you would, Lori.
Yep.
So we started out in 2011, and there's a little bit of directing happening by our lead. And it seems that we've been told to make sure we move through every breath. And here comes a breath and move. And we did it. Now it seems by international, someone told us, chill out, you don't have to move so much. So there we are, being very still and just singing and enjoying the message of the song. 2012, settle ourselves before we start. Make sure that we're comfortable on stage, and we have a lot of that same stillness going on here. It's kind of hard to see, at least on my screen, our faces when it's so far out. But if you can, take a look at our faces through these clips. Do you see an agreement amongst the message? We all seem to have a same head tilt kind of thing. I don't think we ever talked about that. Now we're getting some close-ups of faces. This year, our storyline had me actually start this song alone. So the others did not forget to sing with me, don't worry. We got some feedback through some of the years of a little too much angst and sadness. So how do we overcome that? So we had to work on things about our angst. So by Vegas, I always felt that we became a lot more comfortable in our own skin, not being told, you must move here, don't move there, smile more, smile less, what is the message? And we just kind of relaxed.
I think that by that time they were asking us to just talk to our best friend about what we were feeling.
And of course, this one was the most natural and relaxed I felt all of us were. When I was watching it with a close-up video, the faces did not seem to act as much as they did in some of the previous years. It was more just, like she said, telling your friend a story and remembering rather than acting a certain feeling. So that was that.
All right.
In the sound category, we've talked a little bit about this earlier in the presentation tonight, so I'm not going to say a ton more about this, but just as the others have said, we do have, or we did before the pandemic, have a team of coaches that we really relied on for assisting us on certain aspects of our performance skill development. For sound, we relied very heavily first on Michael Gellert, primarily every week, all the time for the last however many years we've all been in the chorus. And then Betty Klipman is the one that we asked specifically to coach us on sound, and she would not let anything get by. She was wonderful for us. And in fact, in the later years, the year before we ended up winning the competition, we told all of our coaches, look, we have a certain score goal. And if you hear us singing in our coaching sessions at a level that's less than our score goal, please stop, fix it, and make us sing better. So we held them to a high standard, and they held us to a high standard. That worked out really well. So we used the rehearsal techniques that we've already been mentioning. We used the grunge work, we used 3-on-1, we used pairing, we used duetting, we used self-critique, all these different things, and then the coaches' feedback as well. And so that's how our sound developed over the years. So you know about the barbershop cone. Go ahead and throw them up, Lori. I'll just talk through them. Over the years, our cone changed shape as one or more of us would learn individual skills. You would see on our score sheets that the sound judge would tell us different things about our cone. And so, you know, you see our foundation grew, our width grew, even at the end, our very last score sheet that we ever got written on this particular song, they still asked for something different in the cone shape. They wanted more baritone fill that time around. So, it's kind of it's just kind of interesting the way these images kind of portray what the score sheet said over the years about what our sound was doing. Um, so
I love the tenor volcano.
looks a little bit like a funnel.
Yeah, it's true.
So I guess let's just move on to the clip. And you'll hear when you're listening on this one, please listen for the differences in balance, how we rebalanced ourselves so that the cone was appropriate. If the baritone's above the lead, she did her coning properly. If the bass had a low note, did the bass do the right thing, et cetera, et cetera. And over the years, you'll hear more ring, less tension, more relaxation, more vocal freedom, again, as we've said earlier.
What kind of fool I am? What kind of fool I am? What kind of fool I am? What kind of fool I am?
Our tuning improved a lot.
What kind of fool I am? What kind of fool Maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. What kind of fool and maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. What kind of fool I am. And maybe then I'll know what kind of fool I am. What kind of fool
I see in the chat folks talking about the overtones. And somebody said every single time. No, not every single time, especially not at home. And as you could hear, oh my gosh, I was just cringing at the tuning on some of those, and that's coming from that press and that tension and that over trying, that just a lack of ease, and the later years where it tunes better and you have better overtones throughout the thing. It's just because we just decided to, you know what, we don't have to press anything. We can just rely on our good skills and let the overtones happen rather than forcing anything. So that was really interesting for me to hear again, how pressy and sharp and out of tune the bass. I'm self-critiquing the bass line especially, but I mean, each of us probably took our turn at doing something funky with tuning, especially all the way up until we got to Las Vegas, I think.
Mm-hmm. And we had never, so Lori Dreyer put these together for this class. We had never done this before for ourselves, and I found it fascinating. also just to hear them back to back like that and to see some of the jumps.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
I wanted to mention there was another question earlier about our standing position and how we chose our standing position. Basically, Lori Crowder and I chose to stand the way we do because she hears me the best in that ear. And then I wanted Lori beside me, not the tenor, because I couldn't do my octaves well in the early days. And so I wanted Barry beside me, not tenor beside me. And that's how we got there, and we just stayed there forever.
I think one time what Betty tried to re-stand us, or somebody did, and it just didn't work.
I missed hearing the bass. And, I just think that if I wasn't by the bass, we'd have way more comments about Phil.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So part of performing is messing up. You notice that, I'm sure, in some of those videos. So you have to know how to recover, because we are all human, as it says, we make mistakes. So things that you can do to overcome that: number one, practice full runs. If you don't practice full runs, if every time you make a mistake, you stop to fix it, you're not going to know what to do on stage if it happens when you can't stop. So first and foremost, make sure you are practicing performing full runs in your rehearsals before you get on stage. Then tell yourselves before you do this, this is one of those times. We're going to the end. I'll meet you there no matter what happens. And then when you make a mistake, just keep going. See if you can trick your neighbors into thinking it's one of their faults and not yours.
She does that all the time. She tries that all the time.
One of our other trusted coaches told me to do that. So it works, You'll see that here in a minute in the next clip, actually. It's one of my favorite moments.
Somebody's drawing on the screen.
It's not me. I'm not touching it.
Anyway, go on.
Okay. So when that happens, though, you have to forgive yourself, because if you take responsibility and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just messed up. Well, now you've just missed the next measure or three. And who knows what just happened there? You could have made it worse, where if you just say, okay, it happened, let's move on. I know in our early years, I took a lot more breaths than we planned. And I'm sure they were nervous because I was nervous, and it became a cycle. But as we got to know each other better, my breaths got better, as well as they trusted me more to take care of it. And so I forgave myself, they forgave me, we moved on, as with other issues. And just move on, basically. Learn how to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next clip here. It's our, as Lori calls them, our outtakes. You can see at the bottom, she's got some subtitles there to tell you what it is you might be hearing or seeing.
Oh, that left me alone like this. Why can't I fall in love? This one says, sing the contest set. Good idea.
I like how you say one of us. Thank you.
And here goes.
If you can see it, that's the pitch pipe.
Now the pitch pipe's on the ground.
And Lori did not even realize she had dropped it until she went back later.
And apparently I knocked it. She didn't drop it.
And I turned around and I looked down and I saw it on the ground.
And here there should be 4 flowers, if you didn't know.
Yeah. So we're just like, okay, flower's still attached. We'll keep going.
And Lori, ever the prop mistress. And here I go. Kate, It's your party.
Who says you can't stop in the middle if you make a mistake, Lori?
Well, this was a show, not a contest. Yes, so in that, you probably didn't even notice because we were talking over it as we were talking to the audience, telling them, hey, you know, we screwed up, blah, blah, blah. I'm over there talking to Kate, figuring out what I did wrong. Even though I just blamed her. I was like, okay, yeah, okay. Oh, that was my pickup. Got it. Okay. So things happen and, you know, just move through it.
So I do want to say for those clips that we saw, the first clip where we had the big sync error, we still won the regional contest that year. So maybe it is a little bit like figure skating. And the flowers did get called out on the judging score sheet that year in Las Vegas. And I think it was Dale Syverson who said, what a friend taking care of your flowers for you. So you can, a prop malfunction like that will not count negatively against you as long as you pretend it didn't happen.
It's all in how you handle it.
So we've got just 2 minutes left. So I want to finish up by reminding you to celebrate. So I think it was Pat in the chat asked how we keep singing the song, why we sang the song for 8 years in a row. And we loved it. We still do. It's our favorite song, I think, certainly on the list. And it rewarded us for the attention that we paid to it by giving us things to celebrate every step of the way. We would change an interp plan and then be really happy with how it went. Or we'd add a breath and really celebrate that because now we had more space to breathe. We enjoyed singing the tag, you know, nailing the tag. So when you're on your journey with a song, find the things that you're doing well and mark them, acknowledge them, recognize them. Because if we waited to be perfect, we'd never have any fun at all. I mean, Runniga doesn't even score hundreds at contest.
Darn close.
They're really close, but their score sheets still have things to work on. So what you do is find the things that you're doing well, find the things that are enjoyable, that bring you joy, and take the time to celebrate them.
That's our 7 years of foolishness.
Yes, thank you so much for spending your Friday night with us.
I think you answered most of the questions as you were
Great.
going.
I want to thank you, Lustre. Great class again tonight. You guys are wonderful, just wonderful. So any questions for them? Keep going. I don't want to cut you off.
Well, we understand you do have another class tonight, so.
We do.
We have 10 minutes. I mean, we're good.
And
come back. Just come back.
Anytime you invite us, we'll be